Chapter 14. Hester and the Physician. Hester bade little Pearl run down to the margin of the water and play with the shell and tangled seaweed, until she would have talked a while with a younger gatherer of her. So the child flew away like a bird, and making bare her small white feet went pattering along the moist margin of the sea. Here and there she came to a full stop and peeped curiously into a pool left by the retiring tide as a mirror for Pearl to see her face in. For peeped at her out of the pool with dark glistening curls around her head, and if smile in her eyes, the image of a little maid whom Paul had no other playmate invited to hand take her hand and run a race with her. But the visionary little maid on her part beckoned likewise, as if to say, "This is a better place. Come thou into a pool." And Pearl, stepping in mid-leg deep, beheld her own white feet at the bottom, while out of a still lower depth came the gleam of the kind of the fragmentary smell floating to and in the agitated water. Meanwhile her mother had accosted the physician. "I will speak a word with you," said he, "a word that concerns us much." "Aha! And is it Mistress Hester that has a word for old Roger Chillingworth?" answered he. Chapter 14. Hester and the Physician. Hester bade little Pearl run down to the margin of the water and play with the shell and tangled seaweed, until she would have talked a while with a younger gatherer of her. So the child flew away like a bird, and making bare her small white feet went pattering along the moist margin of the sea. Here and there she came to a full stop and peeped curiously into a pool left by the retiring tide as a mirror for Pearl to see her face in. For peeped at her out of the pool with dark glistening curls around her head, and if smile in her eyes, the image of a little maid whom Paul had no other playmate invited to take her hand and run a race with her. But the visionary little maid on her part beckoned likewise, as if to say, "This is a better place. Come thou into a pool." And Pearl, stepping in mid-leg deep, beheld her own white feet at the bottom, while out of a still lower depth came the gleam of the kind of the fragmentary smell floating to and in the agitated water. Meanwhile her mother had accosted the physician. "I will speak a word with you," said he, "a word that concerns us much." "Aha! And is it Mistress Hester that has a word for old Roger Chillingworth?" answered he, raising himself from his stooping posture. "With all my heart. Why, mistress, I heard good tidings of you on all hands. No longer ago than yestereve, a magistrate, a wise and godly man, was discoursing of your affairs, Mistress Hester, and whispered me that there had been questions concerning you in the council. It was debated whether or no, with safety to the Commonwealth, yonder scarlet letter might be taken off your bosom. On my life, Hester, I made my entreaty to the worshipful magistrate that it might be done forthwith. It lies not the pleasure of the magistrate to take off the badge, calmly replied Hester. Were I worthy to be part of it, it would fall away of its own nature and be transformed into something that should speak a different purport. Nay, then, where it's if it suit you better, rejoined he, a woman must needs follow her own fancy touching the adornment of her person. The latter is gladly embroidered, and shows right bravely on your bosom. All this while Hester had been looking steadily at the old man, and was shocked as well as wonder smitten to discern what he what a change had been wrought upon him within the past 7 years. It was not so much that he had grown older, for though the traces of advancing life were visible, he bore his age well, and seemed to retain a wiry vigor and alertness, but the foreign aspect of an intellectual and studious man, calm and quiet, which was what she best remembered in him, had altogether vanished, and been succeeded by a eager, searching, almost fierce, yet carefully guarded look. It seems to be his wish and purpose to match this expression with a smile, but the latter played him false, and flickered over his visage so derisively that the spectre could see his weakness all the better for it. Even at noon, too, there came a glare of red light out of his eyes, as if the old man's soul were on fire, and kept on smouldering duskily within her breast until by some casual puff of passion it was blowing into a momentary flame. This he repressed as speedily as possible, and strove to look as if nothing of the kind had happened. In a word, all Roger Chillingwood was a striking evidence of man's faculty of transforming himself into a devil. If he will only for a reasonable space of time undertake a devil's office, this unhappy person have effected such a transformation by devoting himself for 7 years to the constant analysis of a heart full of torture, and deriving his enjoyment thence, and adding fuel to those very tortures which he analyzed and gloated over. The scarlet letter burned on Hester's penis bosom. Here was another ruin, the responsibility of which came partly home to her. "What see you in my face?" asked the physician, "that you look at it so earnestly?" "Something that would make me weep, if there were any tears bitter enough for it," answered she. "But let it pass. It is of yonder miserable man that I would speak." "And what of him?" cried Roger Chillingworth, eagerly, as if he loved the topic, and were glad of an opportunity to discuss it with the only person of whom he could make a confidant. "Not to hide the truth, Mistress Hester, my thoughts happen just now to be busy with the gentleman, so speak freely, and I will make answer." "When we last spake together," said Hester, "now 7 years ago, it was your pleasure to extort the promise of secrecy as touching the former relation betwixt yourself and me. As the life and good fame of yonder man were in your hand, there seemed no choice to me, save to be silent in accordance with your behest. Yet it was not without heavy misgiving that I thus found myself for having case of duty towards other human beings. There remained a duty towards him, and something whispered me that I was betraying in its pledging myself to keep your counsel. Since that day no man is so near to him as you. You tread behind his every footstep. You are beside him, sleeping and waking. You search his thoughts. You buried and recall in his heart. Your clutch is on his life, and you cause him to die daily in a living death, and still he knows you not. In permitting this, I have surely acted a false part by the only man to whom the power was left me to be true. What choice had you? Asked Roger Chillingworth. My finger pointed at this man would have hurled him from his pulpit into a dungeon thence pre-adventure to the golems. It had been better so, said Hester Preeney. What evil have I done? The man asked Roger Chillingworth again. I tell thee, Hester Preeney, the richest free fee that ever physician earned from monarch could not have bought such care as I have once wasted on this miserable price. But for my ass his life would have burned away in torment within the first 2 years after the perpetration of his crime and lie. For Hester his spirit lacked the strength that could have borne up a night has beneath a burden like the scarlet letter. Oh, I could reveal a goodly secret, but enough. What I can do, I have exhausted on him. That he now breathes and creeps about on earth is owing all to me. Better he had died at once, said Hester Preeney. Yeah, woman, thou sayest truly, cried old Roger Chillingworth, letting the lurid fire of his heart blaze out before her eyes. Better had he died at once. Never did mortal suffer what this man has suffered, and in all sight of his worst enemy. He has been conscious of me. He has felt the influence dwelling always upon him like a curse. He knew by some spiritual sense, for the Creator never made another being so sensitive as this. He knew that no friendly hands were pulling at the heartstrings, and I was looking curiously into him, which saw only evil and found it. But he knew not that the eye and the hand were mine. With the superstition common in his brotherhood, he fancied himself given over to a fiend, to be tortured with a frightful dreams and desperate thoughts. The sting of remorse and despair of pardon as a foretaste of what awaits him beyond the grave. But it was the constant shadow of my presence, the caused propinquity of the man whom he had most badly wronged, and who had grown to exist only by this perpetual poison of the dearest revenge. Yet indeed he did not err. There was a fiend at his elbow, a mortal man, which once a human heart has become a fiend for his especial torment. The unfortunate physician, while uttering these words, lifted his hand with a look of horror as if he had beheld some frightful shape which he could not recognize, observing the place of his own images in a glass. It was one of those moments which sometimes occurs only at the interval of years, when a man moral aspect is faithfully revealed to his mind's eye. Not improbably, he had never before viewed himself as he did now. Has has you not tortured him enough? Said Hester, noticing that man look the old man's look. Has he not paid thee off? No, no, he has but increased the debt, answered the physician, and he proceeded. His manner lost its fierce characteristics and subsided into gloom. Does you remember me, Hester, as I was 9 years ago? Even then I was in the autumn of my day, nor was it earlier autumn, but all my life had been up made up of earnest, studious, thoughtful, quiet years bestowed faithful for the increase of my own knowledge, and faithfully too. Though this latter object was but casual to the other faithfully for the advancement of human welfare, nor life had been more peaceful and innocent than mine. Few lives so rich with benefits, comfort. Does you remember me? Was I not? Though you might deem me cold, nevertheless a man thoughtful for others, craving little for himself, kind, true, just, and a constant, if not warm affections. Was I not all this, and more? Said Hester. And what am I now? Demanded he, looking into her face, and permitted the whole evil within him to be written on his features. I have already told thee what I am, a fiend. Who made me so? It was myself, cried Hester, shuddering. It was I, not less than he. Why hast you not avenged thyself on me? I have left thee to the scarlet letter, replied Roger Trillingwood. If thou hast not avenged me, I can do no more. He laid his finger on it with a smile. It has avenged thee, answered Hester Preeney. I just know that, said the physician, and now what wouldst thou with me touching this man? I must reveal the secret, answered Hester firmly. He must discern thee in thy true character. What may be the result, I know not, but this long debt of confidence due from me to him, whose pain and ruin I had been sure at length be paid, so far as concerned the overthrow or preservation of his fair fame, of his earthly state, and perchance his life. He is in my hand, nor do I, whom the scarlet letter has disciplined to truth, though it be the truth of red-hot iron entering into the soul. Nor do I perceive such advantage in his living any longer a life of ghastly abstinence, that I shall stoop to implore the mercy do with him as thou wilt. There is no good for him, no good for me, no good for thee. There is no good for the little girl. There is no path to guide us out of this dismal maze. Woman, I could well nigh pity thee, said Roger Trillingwood, unable to restrain a thrill of admiration too, for there was a quality almost majestic in the despair which she expressed. Thou hast great elements. Peradventure had thou met earlier with a better love than mine, this well had not been. I pity thee for the good that has been wasted in thy nature, and I thee, answered Hester Preeney, for the hatred that has transformed a wise and just man to a fiend. Wilt you yet purge it out of thee and be once of human, if not for his sake, then doubly for thine own. Forgive, and leave his further retribution of the power that it claims it. I say, but now that there could be no good event for him, or thee, or me, or who are here wandering together in this gloomy maze of evil, and stumbling at every step over the guilt wherewith we have strewn off our path. It is not so. There might be good for thee, and thee alone, since you had been deeply wronged, and had it at thee will to pardon. Will thou give up that offering privilege? Wilt thou reject the priceless benefit? Peace, Hester, peace, replied the old man with gloomy sternness. It is not granted me to pardon. I have no such power as you told us of. My old babe, long forgotten, comes back to me and explains all that we do, and all we suffer. By the first step, a very loudest plan the germ of evil, but since that moment it has all been a dark necessity. Yet that have wronged me are not sinful, save in a kind of typical illusion either, and I think like who have snatched a piece of fish from his hand. It is our fate that the black flower blossom as it may. Now go thy way, and deal as thou wilt with yonder man. He waved his hand, and betook himself again to his employment of gathering herbs.